Hello, boys and girls. We're going to do a review of everything we have talked about in Unit 2 so far this year. So the first thing we're going to talk about now is fiction versus nonfiction. We're really good with this. So we know that fiction is something that is made up. We remember it by fiction, fake. It has characters and events, and there's a plot. For nonfiction, that means not fake, or something that is real. So it has real characters and events. It has text that gives facts and information. This is where you learn information from. So when we look at author's purpose, we have a couple different reasons the author might write what they wrote. So these are why they might write a nonfiction book or those real books. It could be to persuade, which means you want to convince the reader of something. You want them to think the way you do. It could be to inform or give the reader information. It could be to explain or give steps or directions for something that you want them to do, such as how to make a paper airplane or how to make bread. It's giving you directions. If you have a fiction text, that is purely for entertainment. They want their reader to enjoy what they're reading. We also talked about making predictions. A prediction is a guess about what you think will happen in the text based on clues, pictures, and what you have already read. So when we make predictions, we're just making a guess. And we talked about in class, it's okay if your guess is wrong. It's just important that you make revisions as you are reading. So readers can revise or confirm their predictions as they read. And when you revise your prediction, it means that what you predicted did not happen, and you can now make a better guess based on what you've read. When you confirm your prediction or when you realize that it is true, that means that what you predicted was correct. We also talked about roots and affixes. We did a lot of prefix work. Prefix are a group of letters at the beginning of a word that changes the meaning of the word. The root word is the whole word that you find inside of your bigger word. And our suffixes have letters that are added to the end of the word that changes the meaning of the word. Okay, so for prefixes, here we have an example of re is added to played. So we're playing again. On to happy, you are unhappy or not happy. Same with our suffixes. They're letters added to the end. Here we have the same word that we had for our prefixes, replayed, but now the ed at the end of the word is highlighted. Replayed. We have respectful, full, meaning you are full of something, so you are full of respect. And here are some more examples. So we have which means again. So if you reread, you are reading again. We already talked about un means not. So if you are unhappy, that means you are not happy. Dis means not. So disagree means you don't agree. And miss is wrong. So like if you misspell something, means you did not spell it correctly. So those are at the beginning of the word. Then we have suffixes, which come after the base word. So our ed means it happened in the past. It already happened. So if you jumped, that means you did it. You already did it. Then we have our ing here, which means it's something happening now. It's happening right now. It's in the present. So sitting. Right now, I'm sitting in my chair. We also talked about our main idea. So the main idea is what the text is mostly about. And then those details or supporting details are specific information that help support what the main idea is. So here we have a dog example. So if the main idea of a text is working dogs are very helpful to humans, all of my details should support that. So first detail they had is guide dogs lead people who are blind. That is a helpful trait. That is supporting my main idea. Then we have search dogs help find lost people. That is a way that they help humans. So that follows along with my main idea. And the last one is military dogs help detect danger in war zones. Again, that is something that is helpful to humans. We have to be very careful when we're reading that it might say, dogs are very cute. That is true. It's an opinion, but that does not support that they are useful or helpful to humans. So just because it's true and you read it in the text does not mean that that is a supporting detail. They have to match with your main idea. Here's another example. We have our main idea is grizzly bears are interesting creatures. So all of my details should be interesting facts about bears. So we have our first detail. They can stand up to 8 feet tall. Then we have they can weigh from 350 to 800 pounds. They are also known as the brown bear, and they can eat 90 pounds of food a day. So all 4 of those are interesting facts that are unique to the brown bear or the grizzly bear. Then we also talked a lot about asking and answering questions. We have 4 different types. We have right there questions. And those are questions that are typically found within a single sentence. The text explicitly gives an answer to this type of question. So it is a right there question. You read it, you find it in one spot. What color is the house? The house is blue. You can go back and find it in just one place. Then we have the answers to think and search questions can be found in the text, but are typically in more than one sentence. Students will need to look through the entire text to find the places where the answer is located. So this is not just one place. You might have to read the whole paragraph over or even a couple paragraphs over to find all the right answers. Then we have the author and me questions, and those cannot be found in the text. The student must use their schema. We talked about what that means. That means or background knowledge, things you already know, and the text to make an inference and figure out the answer. So this isn't something that you're going to go and point to in your book. You got to think about what you already know. And then we have an on my own question. Cannot be found in the text. So you're not going to find this there at all. Students need to use their schema, or again, your prior knowledge or background knowledge, to answer these types of questions. And then here are the types of questions that you could ask. Who, where, why, how long, or when. We also talked about making a summary. So when we talk about what a summary is, it is a short description of the text using your own words. So you are not just copying down what is already said in the text. You have to change it. You have to say it in your own way. So summaries are told with the events in the order they happened. So what happened first, what happened second, what happened third. That's using our transition words we talked about too. Nonfiction summaries include focusing on the main idea, focusing on important facts or details, those supporting details, has your topic, and it has a closure. And we look at this hand diagram. We did this in class too. Make sure you have all 5 of these things. So here's an example. So the topic is the who or what is the text about, and where or when does the text focus on? What is the overall main idea? Then you list your facts. What is the main idea from each section, heading, chapter, or what are the important details and facts? Then closure. Why is this important? What is the impact of this? What was the overall main idea? We also talked about verbs and verb tenses. Again, when did it happen? If it's happening now, a lot of times we see this ing. If it already happened or happened in the past, we could see an ed, or we could have these tricky words that change. So you wouldn't say I runned, we would say I ran. So you have to be careful and you got to really think, when is this happening? Or it could happen in the future. And we have this helper verb we talked about. That helper verb will. It tells us that it hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen. It will happen in the future. We talked a lot about homophones too. So homophones are words that sound the same, but they have different meanings and usually different spellings. So we see, here's my first example, we have see and see. So if you see S-E-E, that means you see with your eyes. If you have S-E-A, that means like the ocean, the open sea. We have hare and hare. H-A-R-E is another name for a rabbit. And H-A-I-R is like the hair on your head. We have plain and plain. P-L-A-I-N would be like the Great Plains, like a wide open field, or it could be like a plain cheese pizza. And then you have plane, P-L-A-N-E, is like the airplane. One more example, we have blue and blue. So B-L-U-E is the color blue, and B-L-E-W is blue, like I blew the dandelion, and all the puff came off. We also talked a lot about different long vowel sounds. So we talked about our long A. We could spell it many different ways. It could be just an A, could be an A-I, an A-Y, E-I-G-H, just an E-I, or E-A, or E-Y. So some of our examples were acorn, that's with just our A, main with our A-I, play with A-Y, eight with our E-I-G-H. We had veil with this E-I in the middle. We had break with this E-A. And this one's a super tricky one because sometimes this E-A would make the long E sound. So as you're going through your test, you need to make sure if they ask you a question for sounds, you are whisper reading that word and you can hear what it is, if it's a long A or a long E. Remember, our long vowels say their name. Then we have obey. This is another tricky one because this EY can sometimes make that long E sound. So those are our long A vowels. Make sure it says A, obey, break. You hear that name in there. Then we talked about our long E vowels. There are many different ways to do this one as well. This EA, like in tea, dream, clean, eat. Or it could be an EE, like bee, feet, seeds, cheese. Could be an EY, like monkey, turkey, hockey, money. Could be just a Y. Candy, sunny, jelly, puppy. Or it could be this IE, genie, shield, movie, field. So there's a lot of different ways. And like I said, in our long A vowels, some of them are similar. So you need to make sure that you are saying the word. Don't just guess. Don't just go based on your pattern. Then we have long I. We talked about 4 different ways to make the long I sound. We had an IE, like in blind. We had IGH, like in night. We had tie, IE, and we had cry with just the Y. And if you look here, there could be just a Y that sounds like our long E. So again, whisper read your words to yourself. We talked about our long O, like in robot. That's with just an O. Now this one's also tricky because there's 2. Robot. But each of these O's makes a different sound. Then we have toe with this OE at the end. We have coat with an OA. And we have row with an OW. We also talked about our long U. We talked about 4 different ways to make the long U sound. We talked about UE, like in glue. We talked about EW, like blue. And this is another homophone if we look at that. We have music, which has a long U, just a U. And then we have cube, which is our vowel consonant E. Last thing I want to talk to you about are our reading strategies. So as you are reading through your test, we need to make sure that you number the paragraphs if they are not already numbered for you. We did a lot of practice with this, and it makes it much easier to find our paragraphs. Number your paragraphs. Then we talked about highlighting where we found our information, highlighting that evidence. So make sure you're going back and highlight where you find that information. And you need to make sure that you are rereading. Reread the paragraphs and the questions. Don't just think you're going to remember. You need to make sure you go back and reread, and especially reread if you are confused. Do your whisper reading strategy. Whisper read to yourself so only you can hear. All right, good luck, boys and girls.